Living costs. I want to help you do a little bit of research on this, plus provide you the links for checking it out and evaluating on your own. Which, if you look at the comments below, all the links for all these different articles are there for to help you kind of sort through, pick, decide, decipher, and all that. But before we get into it all, please like, comment, subscribe, share. It really helps our channel rank above all those annoying influencers on a national level. We try to be local influencers, if you will, to try to help provide local resources, insight, knowledge from somebody that lives and works here and is here to help you get to know our community, get to know everything, what it's like in Wichita, from a real objective standpoint, not trying to just sell you on Wichita or not get people to come here, just try to give you the facts of how it actually is here. From the real boots on the ground level. So please like, comment, subscribe, share. That really helps us grow this channel and, support the mission of what we're about to put out, not just a big old production of what's cute and flary, but actually how it really is out there. So I'm going to go ahead and get into everything and just start sharing my screen to show you what we're dealing with. And I'm going to go over 6 things today. I'm going to go over salary examples and types, expense charts to compare, gas and commute examples. What else do we got here? Rent cost and house price examples, taxes examples, and food and drink examples. A lot of the things that people consider when looking to move to an area are all of the above. And so that's what I'm going to go over for you guys to help you do your research on Wichita and what it's like when it comes to that. So where did my timer go? Gotta make sure I don't go too long or too short. YouTube's funny like that. So anyway, so the average hourly rate in Wichita, is about $18 an hour. We have a lot of manufacturing-based jobs, agricultural-based jobs, healthcare-based jobs. A lot of the manufacturing is around aviation, just because we have some large employers around that thing. We also have Cargill is one of the largest agricultural employers for what they do there. We also have Coke that does a lot of industrial trade, one of the largest privately held companies in the world. Wichita metro population size is about 600,000, just to give you an idea of the city size, of the market we're dealing with. But then from there, you can kind of go to, different job boards and kind of just poke around, see around what's available out there for job opportunities, or maybe you're working with a company now currently that is a lot of remote work, or you have the ability to work remote. We've been seeing a lot of people move from other bigger markets to back to Wichita or to Wichita because it's more affordable, cost of living all the way around, especially housing, which we'll get into. But when it comes to hourly pay rate, again, this is the average. You never entirely want to look at the average because you really want to look at like, what are you capable of completely? But like I said, a lot of nurses, a lot of healthcare based things. We have a pretty elderly population when it comes to who's needing those healthcare services. A lot of what that will be centered around on everything. Popular employers, Ascension Health, Wesley Medical Center, a lot of the hospitals around here. You have some private practices and things of that level. That nature just kind of depends on what your profession is on everything. But I'd encourage you to definitely go search around on the job boards like Indeed.com or ZipRecruiter, any of those, to kind of give you an idea of what jobs are available in Wichita, and also like what their pay range is on everything. Because you might be shocked to see that, like yes, they do pay a little less than other bigger markets, but what makes up for it is how much less time you got to drive, how much less money you got to spend to live. So your overall quality of life actually goes up in Wichita from a matter of those perspectives on everything. So when you take all that into comparison, Wichita's got a really good quality of life because of how much disposable income we have, from not just the disposable income you have, but also the time you gain from living here, which I'm kind of getting ahead of myself in this, but I'm giving you kind of some insights into what Wichita's like, and then also the examples and the things to look through so you can kind of make your own decision on it all. But, I've lived here my entire 35 years of my life, and I've visited and traveled and met a lot of other people from a lot of other cities to kind of compare and talk to, and then always make my way back to Wichita, Kansas, because it's my hometown and it's where I run my business and it's where I'm out of, and it's where I love. So just giving you a perspective on it all, where we're at. So cost of living overall, we're -9%, below the national average. Our housing is definitely well below the national average on everything, even with all the upticks of pricing everywhere. One of the things about Wichita is it's very stable. You don't see the big major swings up like you do other markets. You also don't see the big major swings down like you do other markets. So it's a very stable environment, and we are growing, but you're seeing a lot more stability here than what you see in a lot of other parts of the country. So if you're looking for peace, certainty, stability, Wichita's a pretty good place for that. And we are progressing, moving forward. So it's not like we're a bunch of podunk behind the times, hicks around here, but we are very stable people is probably the way that I would put it in general. Utilities, groceries, transportation, you can kind of get an idea where we're at there. We're pretty in line with the rest of the country as far as all that goes. So that gives you an idea of some of like the salaries, examples, expense charts to check out. This is just another one. And again, all these links will be in the comments below if you want to do your own research as well. But these are pretty factual, accurate, pieces of Wichita to give you an idea of doing your research for everything. One thing to take into account that this article brings up is the $5,600 for moving from one city to another. So you want to take some of that into account, is that there is going to be a cost, from moving where you're at to come into Wichita. Maybe your employer can help you with that. Maybe the cost differential of what you're going to be making makes up for it, especially with what you can see, like some of these bigger markets we're seeing, like Denver or California or Oregon, Washington, selling their house there then for 600, 700,000, and then buying a $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 house in Wichita. A lot of times you can do it for all cash, or very much a large portion of cash, for in some ways a lot bigger house or nicer house on everything. So give you an idea like what rents are like as well. 1-bedroom apartments $562, depends on the part of town. 2-bedroom apartment $746. That's an average, everything, and I'd say that's fairly accurate. A nicer one's going to be a little bit higher than that. You can get a little more affordable one on the lower end of that. Just kind of depends on the part of town, the location, the condition of the house, but I'd say that's decently accurate for 1-bedroom apartment, 2-bedroom apartment on everything. And I will let you know, like, unfortunately we can't handle rentals, just because a lot of the landlords don't pay us. And obviously, as a business owner, you have to understand, like, we're there to turn a profit, and we don't run a charity, unfortunately, so we can't try to help for that as far as real estate agents go, unless it's one of our own properties that we can manage and run ourselves. And most of those landlords and apartment complexes have their own leasing agents specifically around that line of work on everything. And most real estate agents here in Wichita handle just the purchase and sale of primary residences, and they can do investor things, commercial, multifamily, but the majority of real estate agents around here just handle the purchase and sale of it. And if you're looking to get rentals, you'll have to just kind of type in Google looking for rentals, and whatever search websites are on there, or whatever the property owner has listed on there, is the best route to go. Unfortunately, there isn't like an agent that can represent you like a buyer's agent can when buying a house for purchasing. A lot of that is just going straight to the source that they have listed for their leasing agent or the owner or what have you there, as far as rentals go, which I know is different than like some of the bigger markets where that is an option to help represent tenants for purchasing a home to rent, or I'm sorry, to rent a home on everything. So just give you some insight on that. Let's see, what else do we have pulled up here? The next one we have is, like, to give you an idea, like you're saying, on gas and commute times. Average commute time Wichita, Kansas is 18.7 minutes, and a lot of people work remotely. And so if you think about like how much time you save from not having to travel very far, same thing with gas, regardless of the gas price, you don't have to spend as much gas to get to where you're going on everything. So you have to take into account some of that cost savings when it comes to evaluating that everything's fairly close, and if you look at Google Maps, and I'll pull up the map of Google or the map of Wichita real quick, kind of gives you an idea, like the size of it is not too large, with the metro population size of 600,000 approximately. When you look at like the greater Wichita area, it's in Sedgwick County and then Butler County are the two major counties over here. And if you went to, let's just say, like downtown Wichita. And you wanted to look at getting around somewhere. I'll show you, I'll give you an idea of how literally everything's like 15 to 20 minutes, which is cool. It's fairly easy to get everywhere, but you do have to drive to a good amount of places because we're fairly spread out for being a smaller town. We're not real congested on there. So let's just go with Maize, Kansas. Maize is a little suburb of Wichita, and there you go. It's 17 minutes from downtown Wichita to Maize. Is 17 minutes to basically the outskirts of Wichita. Most of the major highways you're going to take, is I-135 going north and south here, then I-35 when you start to go down towards Oklahoma. 235 is kind of on this outskirts of the west side of Wichita. So this would all be considered West Wichita over here. And then you have kind of Southwest Wichita here, and then South Wichita here. Kellogg/US 400 is what runs east and west. That's another major highway to use. And then K96 is what wraps around here on the east side of town of everything. And those are some of the major highways you're going to use to get to most places. That makes it fairly quick to get everywhere. So Wichitans really have a pretty short drive time. Just kind of depends on where you're going, how far into the suburbs you're going, and which side of town you're going. But if you're going from the middle of Wichita, like you can get to pretty much everywhere within a 12-15 minute drive, compared to the middle of Wichita. Everywhere, obviously, if you're going from one side of town to the other, you're going to be looking at like a 30-minute drive, since you're coming from one part of the town to the other. Let's see if I can drag this from West Wichita over to like somewhere in East Wichita, you got a 24-25 minute drive. Even then, it's really not too bad. So 30 minutes to cover the entire city of Wichita is pretty cool to see that you're going to be spending less gas, less time to be driving on everything. So that does affect your cost of living, when it comes to account that you do have a lot more time, and you're going to have more disposable income from that perspective as well. Then rents, let's get into rent prices and housing. Average rent price, and again, you can do all your own research. I'm just trying to help you collaborate it all to give you an idea. Median rent's about $675, which I'd say is fairly accurate. If you're looking to rent like a 2-bedroom, 1-bath house, you're going to probably be paying $700 to $900 a month. 3-bedroom, 1-bath house, $1,000 to $1,200. 3-bed, 12-bath house, you're looking at closer to $1,500 a month. Just to give you an idea of like what houses are going to come in at. Apartments vary greatly based on like if they're downtown or if they're more towards the suburbs. Kind of do some of your own research, but all very affordable. And obviously it depends on what you're going to make compared to what you have to pay, but Wichita has a very attainable quality of life scale for a lot of people. We have a lot of disposable income here because of that reason. So even though we don't have a lot of geography, as far as like mountains and hills to hike and a lot of big major lakes and things like that, we have a pretty good quality life, like when it's all said and done, because of that standard of living that we have here in the major city on everything. So really ain't so bad. And then the next piece I was going to look at was housing prices. So this comes from our realtor report directly from the stats that we pull. This is from September 11th, 2023. Just to give you an idea of like where the average sale price at. The average sale price is $228,469 for a house, just to give you an idea of like the price points of homes, and that'll probably get you, depending on the part of town where you're at, about a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, somewhere in there on everything. And then new builds, the average price of new build homes was $394 on everything in Wichita. So gives you about an idea of like 350,000 and up is what new builds are going for around here, to give you an idea of like where housing prices are at. And then obviously from there, you can work with a lender or a real estate agent to figure out like, depending on how much money you're bringing, what that comes in at monthly payment wise, what you can afford and where you're at with everything. If you want to check out houses on my website, that link should be below as well, just to start searching around, browsing now, studying the market, doing your research on your own, to just try to help provide you some insights, but also just examples for you to do your own research, so that when it comes time to help you actually get the house or service you into getting the house, you're much more informed, engaged, and aware and on the same page with us on everything. So coming from contribution there. So that's rent and house examples. Next one we'll look at is taxes. So taxes, common sales tax rate 7%, and that's 6.5% by the city, by Kansas, by the state, and then 1% from the county. Just to give you an idea of where things are at. Obviously, there's a lot of different taxes. I'm not a tax accountant. This isn't tax advice. When you really need all that stuff, you need to find a quality tax accountant to really give you the best advice around taxes, because they change a lot and they move around a lot, and it's something to be aware of and involved in. But I'd say relative to a lot of other states, we have a fairly moderate tax rate. I will say this, though, we have some of the best roads I've found for our city and our county, and how well they're maintained and improved and taken care of, especially when you go down to like Oklahoma and Texas. I've noticed like their roads get bad pretty quick. So yes, we pay a decent amount of taxes, but we also have some of the best roads taken care of around here. So you have some really good schooling systems too. So you kind of, you get what you pay for a little bit when it comes to that. But that gives you an idea of taxes and what's going on with that. You can dive really into taxes, but that gives you at least a decent base of everything. And then this one I thought was a pretty cool graphic calculator to help you guys kind of see livingcost.org. If you go to Wichita, Kansas, you can kind of compare it to other cities, different places you're looking at, to give you a comparison of everything. And again, these are averages. You kind of make up your own situation, from your personalized situation, how much money you spend on rent, how much money you spend on food and everything else like that. But these have a pretty decent, calculation to give you an idea of how much money you can make and how much you're going to spend on all the different basic life necessities when it comes to, like food, transport, rent, and utilities, things in that nature. And then, what you can make on everything. Monthly salary after tax, quality life, 83, pretty dang decent. Population size, 398. I think that's a little low. And that might be just looking at like the city of Wichita itself, because really our metro is more like 600,000, to give you an idea of it all. But as you go through down this thing, it kind of gives you an idea of the city of Wichita and what it's like, and how it ranks in the rest of the U.S. We probably got a pretty dang good quality life score of 67 out of 2202 on everything. And none of this research is, my research or my data. I'm just kind of helping you look at it and assess it and compile it very quickly, in a 16, 17-minute video. It just depends on how deep you want to go with it. I mainly handle just the real estate agent side of things when it comes to buying and selling these houses, but obviously the whole economy, the whole local market, the whole local community has an effect on all that. And I want to help provide those resources and information for you to decide what you want to do. But, we get all kinds of calls from these videos, and we love getting them. We love helping you when it comes time to get down to really the nitty gritty of helping you decide where you want to buy or sell on everything. But this at least gives you the base understanding of research on everything that I have a good amount of people asking me about. Let's see. So lunch menu, $17 is fairly accurate. Dinner restaurant for two, $42. That's fairly accurate. Fast food, I'm not even going to go there because it's fast food. But all these prices, like from what I've seen of living here and being from here, are fairly accurate, is what I would say. So to give you an idea of what your costs are going to be, I really like the way this one breaks it down, to give you an idea of what you're going to spend all your money on. I know spending money in budgets is kind of like blah, but it's a big important factor of your life, and it's something that needs to be taken into account when it comes to buying a home, not just willy-nilly, because really you make your money when you buy them right. You set yourself up for a strategic long-term plan, which is kind of the way we handle a lot of our real estate purchases, is from a standpoint of, like make sure we're not overextending ourselves, making sure we're putting ourselves in a solid financial plan so we can go to sell this thing in 3 to 5 years and we're not in a hard spot on everything. Not just throw you in the house, wham, bam, see you later, thanks, got my commission, I'm out. Like I kind of look at it more from like a strategic financial advisor standpoint when it comes to your personal real estate, everything. Obviously, you got to like the house too, and you got to like the community and the city you're living in. So hopefully this helps you get to understand the city and the community that you'd be buying into and living in on everything, and the costs go with it. This one is kind of funny to see, like cost of living, obviously in the US is one of the highest around the world. But also you get the most, in my opinion. I've been to a lot of these other countries and traveled and seen what it's like everywhere else. And yes, their cost of living is lower, but their quality of life is lower and their amenities are lower and they have less features, less benefits. So you kind of get what you pay for on everything, not to mention a whole myriad of other things, but something to just take into account when you see this chart. It's interesting the way Americans live compared to a lot of the rest of the world on everything by and large. But this is another good calculator to kind of give you comparison to, like, New York City to Wichita, LA to Wichita. Some of the more favorable ones or closer ones I'd say would be like Houston compared to Wichita, Phoenix compared to Wichita. Some of these other different markets, San Antonio, Dallas compared to Wichita, fairly close. Austin, on an average scale, of course, and everything, but you can see how more affordable a lot of these are. And Wichita does have a lot of cool things to do. I'll be honest with you, they're just not as in your face, we'll put it that way. They're a little bit more off the beaten path, or more like local mom and pop, kind of vintage, kind of I don't want to say underground, but they're just not big major developments like major sports teams or major geographic sites. It's a lot more local, unique, specific, smaller niche type of things in Wichita on everything. So, but there you go. That gives you an idea of the Wichita, Kansas cost of living. Hopefully that helps you do a little more research on Wichita, what the city's like, what the community's like. If I could help you in any way, I love getting phone calls. I love people sign up on my website, seeing where we can help on it all. Check out any of my other videos that we have out here around Wichita, around real estate, and what we can provide you as far as local market knowledge, cultural knowledge, all those things go with it all. And appreciate you watching as always. And we'll talk with you another time. See ya.